Welcome to the Contrarians and tonight's topic. Tonight's topic is our favorite album covers. We've got a large panel here tonight, a lot of interaction. We want to hear from you in the chat, so let's get started. Welcome to the Contrarians, and tonight I want to thank the panel for showing up. It's fun to have a panel, and look at this panel. We've got David, we've got Rand, we've got Matt, we've got Rich, and we've got Jeff. The topic for tonight, our favorite album covers, and this topic was suggested by Rich, and we've got 5 picks. I'm going to let Rich start us off. Why did you come up with this topic, for one, Rich? And then I think we should probably let's go 2, 2, and 1. And then if we have time for honorable mentions, we'll do that.
Okay.
So, Rich, we're going to go Rich, Jeff, David, Rand, and Matt, and loop around like that. All right. Rich, go ahead and take it away.
So I chose this topic because I love album artwork. And I'm going to start out with my number one choice. And I tell people, if I was to sell all my records but one, this is the one I'd keep. And I'm talking about Jethro Tull, Stand Up.
Yeah.
I love that artwork. I guess it was done from woodcuts. And I like the fact that Ian Anderson has given it an extra finger. I love the picture on the back of them like going into the woods. And I like the inside. Now, this version didn't come with the pop-up, which came with the original pressings of it. But yeah, I have really fond memories of the day that I bought this copy of it. I walked to Cortland and back from this tiny little town I lived in called Blodgett Mills. And on the way back, I walked in the railroad tracks and walked in the woods. And it was just that was my album for the summer of 1980 was Jethro Tull Stand Up. And I have this on 3 different T-shirts. I have 3 versions of it on vinyl, and I have 5 versions of it on CD. And at one point, I had a jigsaw puzzle of it. So
I didn't know you were going to show it, but I've got an original Island pink label pressing of that.
Wow.
That cool. I bought at Goodwill, when everybody was dumping vinyl. I got it for like 50 cents. But it's an original Island pressing.
Cool. And my second one, it's also Jethro Tull. We're going to go with Stormwatch. I love that cover, and I love the back cover. I just love the drawing. I think this really should have been a gatefold album because, the way the back cover just kind of merges into the front cover. And I think it's just, I think it's just gorgeous artwork. And I really like the song titles too. I think it's one of Tull's best collection of song titles. And like I said, I just love that polar bear, So anyhow, so those are my top 2 choices.
Cool. All right. Excellent. Thanks, Rich. All right. Jeff, what you got? Nice to see you tonight.
Oh, good to be here. I'm going to get the 2 out of the way that anybody that knows me well, which you guys probably don't at this point yet, would expect I would pick. First one's going to be the debut from Blue Oyster Cult, which I've used as an icon various places. And to me, I could probably have picked 5 BOC album covers. I really love Some Enchanted Evening too. But the first one, the thing that I like about the first one is that it's sort of orderly with all the, the doors that are in the bottom of it. Fortunately, I don't have a physical copy anymore, so I can't hold it up and show you what I'm talking about, but you either know or you don't, or
there
hey, that's convenient. That's beautiful. Thank
Matt's
you.
Always ready. He's always ready.
That's gorgeous. I like that because it's very mysterious. You don't know what it means. They never explain what all that is, but it's also very orderly. So it to me, that kind of encapsulates the whole Blue Oyster Cult experience. it's all in that album cover.
Yeah.
There's going to be a whole bunch of stuff you're never going to understand what we mean by it. We don't know if we understand what we mean by it, but that's another story. But, you just kind of embrace the madness and go with it.
Mm-hmm.
And
Cool.
that is what I love about that band, more than anything else. So that's the first obvious one. And the second obvious one is it looks like Matt's just like, okay, let me predict, let me grab it. If you're going for the first Black Sabbath, then you got it right. Well, there you go. And the reason for that, I've actually seen some other, I guess some photography from the sessions where they don't have the mysterious figure in the foreground. It's a pretty area. The colors are interesting, and there's an awful lot of pink, which is kind of strange. But they just, again, they don't explain it. It's just, you look at it and you're like, oh, we're in for something here. This is going to be weird.
Yeah.
And given what else was going on at that time, it was going to get really weird. And I think it's an iconic cover. There are other Sabbath covers that I kind of like. I certainly could have gone with Sabbath Bloody Sabbath, either the front or the back. That's just ridiculously cool. But the first one, to me, it's got that mystical thing going. So those two go kind of together.
All right.
That's
if I could add to that, I always thought it was kind of spooky for some reason that house had two holes in it. The house on the front cover having two holes in it. I always thought that was kind of scary for some reason. I don't know, but anyhow, that's me.
Yeah, I could never tell if is that house ruined, abandoned?
Yeah,
just spooky. What do we got here? We don't know.
Yeah.
We're not going to talk about it. We're not.
Right.
There's no song about it. It's not obvious. There you are.
Yeah.
So I really do like that cover.
Cool.
All right. Cool. Two good picks. Everybody's on fire so far. Thanks, Jeff. Let's throw it over to David. David, what's your first two?
All right. So great topic. Certainly happy to be here with you guys. It's fantastic. So it certainly got me thinking. Sometimes, you think it's going to be easy, and then it's actually a little bit tougher. So, timeline we always talk about. So coming in and starting really getting into music, vinyl's on its way out for me. Cassettes are in play, but CDs are coming. And it's kind of this late 80s transitional period. But the upside was record stores still existed, and you could still go in and discover things and sort of purchase things with your eyes before your ears ever touch it, which I think I'm really glad I had opportunity to experience that. I'm sure everybody on this panel has too, gone in and kind of purchased something that, with your eyes first, like, and kind of imagining what it might sound like. And sometimes it's a success and sometimes oops. But, there were some albums, and so album art in that era seemed to start to become secondary because it got smaller and smaller. Now you're trying to put on a cassette and details gone, so it seemed like less work was put into it. But my first pick, I think, was this album came out in 1989. I'm gonna go with Wasp, The Headless Children. The thing that really drew me to this was just the detail, and kind of maybe in the same way that Sgt. Pepper's was. You could stare at it for days trying to pick out the different people, right? A lot of work was put in for an album that really came out at this time. The idea, all the metal cliches are there. We have the skull and the fire and all of that, but you got kind of the river of people and all the villains in there. So you're Jim Jones and Stalin, all the bad guys. And so it was fun to really kind of look and study and spend some time with this. It's certainly not a throwaway. So I thought that was really cool. It did that. And then later versions of this were edited out. For whatever reason, they Ayatollah Khomeini was removed and got some extra KKK guys in there. So whenever there's some controversy and there's an edit, it's good, right? So anyway, I'm going to go with that as my number 5 pick.
Yeah, it's like Rolling Stone Some Girls. Remember, Lucille Ball had a crisis about the cover, and they had to edit it. I'm sure there had to be the same thing.
Yeah, so Ayatollah didn't. I guess they didn't made too political to lump him in with Jim Jones and Hitler and Lee Harvey Oswald. But anyway, in the later versions of this, there was some edits. But and the second one I picked maybe is a little bit of all the cliches, but always sort of maybe one that I bought because it came out before my time. With my eyes and not my ears, and then my ears were very pleased, was Whitesnake Slide It In. I almost went with a different Whitesnake record, which I love Hunter as well, but that one's a little bit on the nose, and I thought this one was a little more artsy, not as on the nose as maybe Love Hunter, which I don't dislike, but this has that sort of the snake and has the sexy element, but there's also, it's dark, and there's also, it's interesting. I find it a little less on the nose than Love Hunter, and I think that it's sort of still interesting to kind of look at, and I think there's a certain element to that really always sort of drove me to it, and probably an album that maybe as a 15-year-old boy drove me to made my eyes pick that one versus maybe the 87 record. But anyway, my ears were pleasantly surprised as well, so it's a great record. But that's number 4, Slide It In.
All right, cool. Excellent. All right. Thanks, David. Let's throw it over to Rand. Rand, what's your first 2 picks? There you go. Hello.
Merry Christmas. Okay. So this will be funny. Tomorrow makes 60 years that I got my first album, from my parents, for Christmas, and it was this.
Never saw that record before.
This changed my life. This is funny. This is an apple pressing from Japan. Watch this.
Oh, it opens up.
The gatefold. A lot of Japanese writing in it. But they do give you all the lyrics in English, which is cool.
I've heard of that band. Are they any good?
I have no idea.
Both sides. Yeah. I got it from a friend in Eureka. He was a major collector, and somehow he was selling it and stuff, and it says Apple made in Japan. And I thought, hey, yeah, that's pretty cool. I've never seen a gatefold of that. But anyways, this album changed my life. This album made me want to be a musician. I've told the story before about seeing him on Ed Sullivan and stuff like that. I was 12 years old when this album was given to me, and it just changed my life. I mean, I put it on the record player while everybody was opening presents and stuff, and I was just listening to it going, oh my God, this is the greatest day of my life, and I still think it is. But I'm starting it out because chronologically, this is where it all starts for me. And my second is going to be this.
I had a feeling.
Roger Dean has become my favorite artist ever since Fragile. Yes, it's my favorite band. I mean, I love the Beatles. Yes, it's a different things in timing, but I love them equally. But this album is just, to me, one of the greatest album covers ever. I have studied these lyrics ad nauseum back in the 70s. Just when it first came out, it was like I had a girlfriend and who fell in love with the band right when I did, and we used to just sit in her room and just stare at these lyrics and listen to the music, and it was just like magic and stuff. And then Relayer came out, and we broke up because she couldn't handle Sound Chaser.
Which Yes album is that? I recognize it as a Yes album, but I couldn't tell you which one.
Tales of
Topographic Oceans. I'm sorry.
Okay, that's okay.
1973. 4.
It's understood that people
in America,
should know
it came out on January 9th, 1974.
An album that's love-hated.
I love it. I mean, to me...
Brad, you love everything that says yes.
Yeah, it's Scott Lade's favorite album.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. Wow, I had no idea.
His favorite Yes album. I don't know if it's his favorite album.
Yeah,
Of all the Yes albums, he chose Tales.
very nice. I had no
I
idea.
got nothing. I got nothing bad to say about it. To me, it was a religion at the time.
Do you find that more to be a Steve Howe, John Anderson album more than anything, or?
Well, it's got some productional issues compared to Close to the Edge, of course, but the bass isn't very thumpy, But I've got recent versions of it with Steven Wilson and Rhino that sound way better. So yeah, it's fine.
Excellent. All right, cool. Thanks, Fran, for your two choices. Let's throw it over to Matt. Matt, what you got?
Okay, so the first two that I have are who I think are great artists who happen to do album covers, and kind of the art came first, and then they happen to be used for the album covers. I publish a newsletter called Critical Hit Parader that's focused on the intersection of music and tabletop role-playing games. And so fantasy and science fiction artists are really important to kind of both fans of both of those hobbies. And there's a set of artists that are sort of really popular among both folks who like role-playing games and as well as music. And so the first one I wanted to talk about is Frank Frazetta. And we've talked about him in some other Contrarians, some bait and switch album covers. So Frank Frazetta did album covers for Molly Hatchet, which, many people would buy the album covers thinking they're getting a real metal album. And not that they're not great, but they're definitely not sort of what's on the cover necessarily. We also did Nazareth, Expect No Mercy, so a little bit of glare there. But the one that I chose for Frank Frazetta is Heart Attack by Dust. So I really love one of the things that Frazetta was so great about was the dynamic motion of the figures in there. And there's more of that in this particular album cover. He did a lot of paperback covers for like Conan and things like that. This is a painting called Snow Giants, and it was first used for a Conan paperback in 1969, and then was used for the album cover. But I think this is a little bit more representative of some of the great aspects of Frazetta's arts. And of course, a lot of these things ended up on vans in the 70s. They made great art for your vans. And then the next one I wanted to talk about is Michael Whelan. So Michael Whelan is a painter who is probably best well known for doing paperback and other science fiction fantasy covers, including the Elric books, which is written by Michael Moorcock, who of course has music connections with Blue Oyster Cult and with Hawkwind and his own music projects. So kind of a very interesting intersection of people there. And he's especially, Sirith Ungol has used his covers, his artwork for many of their covers. So I've got a few of them here. All of these, for the most part, were previously used for paperback covers for the Michael Moorcock Elric books. And the one, though, that is my favorite is the album Frost and Fire. And this artwork, it's called Stormbringer. And this was for the Elric book of the same name. It was used for a 1977 cover. I just think that's a phenomenal cover. With Sirith Ungol, unlike Molly Hatchet, it sounds like the cover, which there's no bait and switch. They're a great metal band. And this one I like so much. I've got this one on the big frame.
Holy mackerel. There you go.
Had to bring that one down. So big fan of Michael Whelan. Again, these ones, the artwork existed first and the bands liked them and then chose it for it. Has done a little bit of collaborative work. So he's did a few Sepultura album covers, which were commissioned specifically for those albums, which is a bit more of a collaborative project. So those are definitely well worth checking out, a little bit more on the horror side than the fantasy side. So those are my first two picks.
Cool. Awesome. Thanks, Matt. Appreciate it. All right, Rich, what's your next two?
Well, this album was already discussed by somebody else, but I'm still going to include it. and that's of course the first Blue Oyster Cult album. I like it for the same reasons. I'm sorry, I forgot the other guy's name. It's very dark and it's very mysterious. You're like, what the hell, And then on the back, you've got, like those railroad tracks or something, and it's just, it's typical of the music. I mean, early Blue Oyster Cult was very mysterious. You had to send a self-addressed stamped envelope to get the lyrics, and it's almost better off not knowing what the what the words are, but I just love the simplicity of it, and the darkness of it, and also again the song titles too, Stairway to the Stars, She's as Beautiful as a Foot, Workshop of the Telescopes, and this is another one that I have on like 2 or 3 t-shirts. So yep, first Blue Oyster Cult album. My next choice is Uriah Heep, Very Heavy, Very Humble. I did have this on vinyl, and at the beginning of the year when I was unemployed, I had to sell a lot of my stuff, and this was one of them, and I regret it. But I just love how scary that is, and there's a great story behind that cover. The band hired somebody with this cobweb gun to like put it all over this furniture and stuff. And the guitarist Mick Box came there from a bar, and he took the cobweb gun and aimed it at David Byron's face, and then the photographer happened to take a picture of it. So he just caught a great moment, and it's just, with not knowing that, it's still very scary, like like a dead man like screaming or something. It's very haunting. And again, this is another one I have on a t-shirt. So the
US cover. That's what
the,
Rand's showing.
This is the UK cover.
This is the one that we bought. I bought when I was in the Air Force.
Yeah.
A long time ago.
I wasn't even aware of this cover.
Neither was I.
For a while, because I was just used to the US one, which is still good, but definitely not as spooky as this. So, all right. So that's number 3 and 4 for me.
All right. Cool. Perfect. All right, Jeff, you're up. What you got?
All right. You said you can bring up graphics, because this next one nobody's going to know. I don't think.
Hopefully, I can find it.
Nobody talks of them. Oh, they're out there.
Okay, I'll find it then.
The band is called Witchery. I just wanted to give you that witch find fear for a second.
It's where I thought you were going to go.
Yep. But no, Witch Finds covers are all right, but whatever. No, the band is called Witchery. The album is called Restless and Dead. If you can find a graphic of it, throw it up.
Oh, I'll find it.
It is, it's basically a skeleton climbing out of a grave in a cemetery, and it looks kind of angry. And the whole thing's kind of black and light blue, and it does spooky pretty good. And I just like it because it's kind of a cool picture of that sort of thing. I mean, with metal, I could have picked any one of 6 million albums that have, something, including all of Matt's picks. Those were great.
There you go. Rand's got it.
Yep, that's roughly what it looks like.
Thank God for Discogs.
Yeah, I didn't think of putting it up on the phone. That's a good idea.
It's all right. I'll take care of it. Don't worry.
I do that crap all the time, right, Grant?
All the time.
Anyway, it's a Swedish death metal, death thrash kind of supergroup sort of band. A guy from King Diamond or Merciful Fate was in there. I don't think they're terribly popular here, but I just like the album. That's kind of my representative cool metal graphic pick. And now I'm going to do the same thing again, but much, much older, with Steppenwolf Live, which is a fairly simple, to me, very iconic. It's hard for me to separate how cool I think the cover is from how much I loved that record as a kid. You know, I was listening to metal, but I was also listening to a bunch of stuff like that, a bunch of 60s and 70s folk rock, and Steppenwolf rocked harder than the rest of the guys did, and the wolf was cool. The logo was kind of, you know, I think they had it in like rivets, the title of it.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought that was pretty cool, and you know, that is kind of heavy metal imagery from much, much older, much farther back, you know, before things kind of went like with Eddie. I mean, I'm sure somebody is going to, yeah, there you go. Like that looks like it could have been on the back of a biker jacket. You know, before things got into as many monsters and, you know, Eddie and Vic Rattlehead from Megadeth and all those things that happened later where it's like put many monsters on. That's real simple and back to the basics, and it's not even metal, but it was relatively heavy for the time, given that it wasn't trying to be metal in the first place. So there's also an honorable mention packed right in with that. There was an album called Rest in Peace, which they put out in about 72. That was after the band had broken up for the first time. There was just a picture of a wolf and a bunch of flowers, and you know, it was just kind of a little funeral service kind of graphic thing going. I always thought that looked cool, but I have to go with the live. That just it hits to the bone to me. So anyway, that's my two, an old and a new.
I had that album when I was in the Air Force. I always thought it sounded very brittle, very high treble. Is that right?
Which the
Steppenwolf Live. Yeah.
Maybe.
Did it sound like Mars Bonfire's guitar was just like cutting through everything, or am I crazy?
That might not have been Mars Bonfire. That might have been John Kay. I have.
Oh yeah, he played a Rickenbacker too.
He played a Rickenbacker 381. No, wait, 381.
No, he had a
Yeah,
381.
Yeah, I have a 381 John Kay model over there.
You do?
I do.
Nice.
Well,
And,
Jeff, you've never brought that up before.
well, nobody asked.
Wow, come on.
Well, one time I tried to.
You're holding out on me.
Yeah, no, it's one of my fancier guitars.
And what number?
like that.
What number is it of the series?
I have to go get it to find that out.
Well, you need
I
to
like
get
that
that
double
next time.
cutaway Gibson you got there.
Yeah, that's a Firebrand. Grant knows what that is.
I do know what that is, and you know Rickenbacker doesn't make 381s anymore.
No, they're hard to come by. Yeah, I'll grab it.
Well, whenever.
And,
I just didn't know you had that. Wow, cool.
Yeah, well, and the reason that I brought it up was I know it's a custom model for him.
Mhm.
I don't know what customization he did to his original 381, but that one, it's got some sort of semi-active, there's kind of an EQ on it and all that. And if you want it to get really brittle, it'll do it. So it is a sound that I think he was going for. So I don't think that was a lead guitarist. I think that was John Kay. But it could have been. I mean, who knows? Who knows? I wasn't there. I didn't see it. But that is something that stands out about that guitar. I tend to play it passive because it sounds muscular, just like the records do. It's an amazing sound. So
There you go. All right, cool.
yeah.
Wow,
There's-
I've learned something new here.
Complete with digression.
Hmm. All right, cool. Thanks, Jeff. All right, David, you are up. What's your next two?
All right, number 3, I guess. So back to the 80s, getting the DeLorean and go back to the 80s. Actually, 1990 for this one. So, era of the Guitar Hero. I'm learning guitar, and this record always, was one I really enjoyed looking at visually and sonically as well. Although, less so these days. I have to be kind of in a particular mood. But I'm doing Steve Vai's Passion and Warfare. This is maybe my favorite Steve Vai record. I just love the imagery. I'm kind of a sucker for symbols, and I particularly enjoy Egyptology. And so I really it's something you could look at for a really long time and always kind of find something new. At least in that time, I thought that he was the coolest dude ever with those boots on the outside of his jeans and all the things of 1989, 1990, right? But I just thought this record with all the symbols and the pillars with the symbols, you could look at this record for days and find new things. And so for me, as probably everybody on the panel, listening and consuming a new album was as much visual as it was sonic, right? I mean, you're looking at the record, you're reading the liner notes, it's physical, there's no such thing as streaming, thank goodness. And while you're listening to it. Now streaming has a place, and that's a different panel. And there's a convenience factor to it. But I mean, first, certainly, I'm glad to have come of age in an era where I had the opportunity to listen and also have something to hold on to, even if it's a CD booklet where I could actually read it in those days. But having vinyl or something physical to read liner notes and all the nerdy stuff, right? And so that was I always really enjoyed that. My next pick would be remiss if I didn't select from the vast Kiss catalog, and I think I'll sort of try to piggyback off what Matt was talking about, sort of fantasy artists meet rock and roll, right? So of course I'm talking about Ken Kelly, and Ken Kelly did the Love Gun record and Destroyer record, and I'm going with Love Gun. Love Gun has always been one of my favorite albums. Now I could have easily picked Rock and Roll Over. There were a lot to like with that record, but I love Ken Kelly's artwork on this. I like it way more than I like Destroyer. And again, it's personal taste, but Super Kiss and they're all buffed out, and you get the girls down here in the white face.
Yeah.
I just think the coolest, I don't know. And like Matt, I have a 20 by 20 print of Love Gun framed in the other room with signatures on it. And it's just, for some reason in the catalog, there's a lot. So you can, Kiss are obviously a very visual band. There's a lot to like in the catalog, and again, it comes down to taste. But there's a lot of really good covers. There's a lot of stinkers. But this, for me, Love Gun, usually stands above the rest if I have to pick. So number 3, I'm going with Love Gun.
If I could add to that, the story behind that was Ken Kelly. He was drawing a picture of that was supposed to be his wife, and I think all of those women are the same woman, and that was his drawing of his wife. So yeah, I thought that was interesting.
Yep, that's true. All right, cool. Thanks, Dave. All right, Rand.
Okay. Well, for my third pick, I'm just going to show it. I don't need to get a great introduction.
That's all you need to say is just show that.
This is like the beginning of a journey that, I'm already way into Yes. I'm already way into Emerson, Lake and Palmer. I'm way into King Crimson. And then I heard this album. It's like, oh my God, what the hell is going on? And then the American copy didn't do this at all. And I thought this is one of the best gatefold sleeves ever made, because it's like you're in a spaceship and you're looking through the window and all the lyrics are there and everything. And then you got the picture of the band on the bottom. I mean, it was just this album literally changed my life. It made me wanted to be a keyboard player, especially after hearing the Mellotron on Watch of the Skies, which to this day is the reason I bought one. I got one right here where my hand is hitting. It's one of the portable mini kind, but it sounds great. It sounds just like a real one. But anyway, Genesis Foxtrot, Peter Gabriel's vocals, Steve Hackett's guitar. I mean, Phil Collins' drums, Mike Rutherford's bass, Tony Banks's keyboards were just thrilling, and I wanted to play so bad. And I'd already sort of taught myself how to play piano from the second side of Abbey Road before I joined the Air Force, but I didn't hear this until I got out of the Air Force. I don't remember seeing any Genesis albums anywhere when I was in the service, and the same with King Crimson. So I didn't get into this until 1973. I was like a year later, and then I got Selling by the Pound and The Lamb and all that. But my God, this album is just. I think probably this is my favorite Genesis album. I love this so much, and I think the cover by Paul Whitehead is just absolutely fantastic, just great. And a lot of people don't know, it's like right back here, there's like a croquet game going on. You look real close.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you can see it. It's from the Nursery Crime. So he did that continuity thing of one cover into another, which is really cool. And also the Genesis logo, they only did that on 2 albums, Nursery Crime and Foxtrot, and then it was poof, gone. And I thought it was a great logo. I don't know why they got rid of it. And my fourth one, I'm going to go with another band from England that I love a lot, Gong You. Now, most people will look at this album right away and go, that's not the cover. That doesn't look right. But the British import has these multicolors and stuff, but I think the design on this looks cool. I always liked it. And this was on the 8-track, and I bought it on 8-track. And the back cover is sort of a mandala that you could kind of hypnotize yourself with if you take enough psychedelics. Another thing I liked about it was the...
so that's the domestic cover? That's the domestic cover? Okay.
Yeah, domestic version. And here's the label. See, it's the colored one.
Mm-hmm.
There's a green one, and then there's a black and white one. And then there's this one with the red and green in it stuff. So I always thought looked really the best, But anyway, that's Gong it's such a magical sounding album. I mean, when I first heard it, I remember I was with some friends and stuff, and we were just listening to it and going, can you believe this? This is the most insane thing I've ever heard in my life. And it just made us happy. That's what, the main thing about Gong was that it's a very happy sounding album. It's not serious and all that. And especially like that song where they say cops at the door, no cops at the door and stuff. We were really on LSD one night listening to that. And somebody go on the wall. It's just crazy.
And then the walls melted, right? Is that what happened?
Love that stuff. Oh, yeah. Everything happened that everybody can think of. Whatever your brain wants to do, that's what it does. That's what Brian Wilson said. He said it's like opening a garage door to a room you've never seen before.
And you can see how that worked out for him.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
genius.
Well, until he went to bed for years. Anyway, that's a whole other show. All right, Rand, thanks. That's awesome. All right, let's throw it over to Matt. Matt, what's your next 2?
Okay, so my next 2, what they have in common is that these are ones where the artist and the artwork become an integral part of the band's imagery, really going forward. And the artists that are involved have both all been mentioned, so this might be a bit quicker. So the first one is Bill Golick, who did the Bluish Occult self-titled album. So he was he'd studied at Rhode Island School of Design. He was studying architecture at Stony Brook, where Sandy Pearlman was. And he had these just like long scrolls of his architectural drawings of like America in the future. And Sandy Pearlman had seen those and then used them, then had him kind of take those and create the cover work. And I think they probably drove each other a bit crazy with Pearlman's instructions to turn it into a album cover. But what I wanted to point out was that in this, he creates the Blue Oyster Cult logo, right? So which is then used, forever and going forward, and by Blue Oyster Cult, and that was something that he had done. Like the story is that he like took a washer, so it's got that round part, and painted over to create that circle part. It's maybe the sign of Cronus, maybe the sign of Saturn, maybe it's a hook and cross, maybe it's an upside down question mark. It led itself to a lot of interpretation, as the album cover did. And one other thing that I really liked about it is that because of the circle, it looks like you're looking through a telescope. And then you see the stars and everything, and it's got the song workshop of the telescopes on it. So it was, kind of really coherent with, as Rich pointed out, the song titles. And then he goes on. He does do the next album cover as well. So Tyranny and Mutation, and the album title comes from a phrase that he had said, Tyranny and Mutation, and then he disappears, and that's it. But his imagery for Blue Oyster Cult lives on. Yeah. And then my next one in that category, Rand already mentioned, which is Roger Dean, becoming such an integral part of Yes. And but the album I chose was Yes songs, just because, well, you get the ultra fold out, right? So you've got so much art on it. You probably won't even be able to see all this, right? So you've got the 4 panels, and there's like an implied story that's going on across the 4 pieces of art, and it's stuff that kind of continues from what was in Fragile and Close to the Edge. So, really is evocative. It very much goes well with the music. He creates the bubble logo for Yes. So in some ways, just like an extended member of the band, he's so important to it. And then just, I mentioned the with role-playing games. So this is a favorite as well, because you get the 4 panels. So if you're playing Dungeons and Dragons, it makes a great Dungeon Master screen, because no one can see what you're doing. So those are my next 2.
There you go. All right, sweet.
I almost chose that, but I decided that Tails was my favorite.
All right. Cool. Thanks, Matt. All right, Rich, you're up. What's your final pick?
Well, I'm going to do a Roger Dean cover, but it's not one of his more well-known covers, and it never came out on vinyl, but it is the album White, which features Alan White in it and Jeff Downes. And I love his artwork. I almost chose Astra as my number 5 because I have that as a poster. But there's just something about this that when I first saw it, I was like, my jaw dropped. I think it's more sparse than some of his other covers. And I just love the way it looks. It's just, all that white on it. It's just, like I said, when I saw the cover, it's like, wow, that's amazing. The album itself isn't that great. I gave it one listen and I was like, but I really wish this came out on vinyl, because I think it's really a gorgeous cover by him. So anyhow, so that's my last choice.
All right.
Looks
cool.
like Avatar in the winter.
Could be.
Hey, I met Roger Dean on that Royal Affair tour, and I was buying that. I was having him autograph my program book and everything. And I first walked up to him and I said, "James Cameron's a punk."
Oh.
And he just looked at me and goes, no, don't do that. Because he sued James Cameron for stealing his Avatar ideas, and he lost. But
unfortunately, he didn't win.
Yeah, he lost. But he didn't want me to put him down either. So that's how nice Roger is.
Yeah.
Forgiving.
All right, cool. All right, Jeff, you're up. What's your final pick?
I was saying it's not going to be a Roger Dean album, but I really enjoyed, I love his work too. There's a lot of stuff that's really good that just didn't make the cut. And when these topics come up and the sign up shows up, I just look and say, do I have anything to say about this? And immediately in my head, this happened, which is too washed out to see.
What is it?
What is it?
Deep Purple, Deepest Purple, the one with the guitar with the sparks.
Greatest hits.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I never listened to the greatest hits, but I did at the time because it was all I had at first. And I just always thought that the art to that, it was just kind of amazing to me. I mean, I realize it's not actually, it's photography and manipulation, not drawing. But when you ask me what my favorite album cover is, that's what comes out. I've actually considered trying to get a guitar that looked rather like that, but I think I would be disappointed no matter what I did because, well, there wouldn't be any sparks. I don't really want to go that far.
Yeah.
But
Sparklers not included.
yeah. It does probably explain my fascination with Strats with black pickguards, though. I have a lot of black pickguards. I don't like white, and I don't like the other colors that much. I just want them to be black. Anyway, I think that's a great one. Are we going to do honorables, or we got to keep?
Well, let's go around. We'll see where we're at. We're at 7:52, so 7:50. So let's keep going. All right, David, you're up. What's your final pick?
All right, I'll go quick. So many good choices. I'm a little surprised this band hasn't come up yet, but I think it goes to show how many really good album covers are out there. Really, really good stuff. So I may have tipped my hand last time I talked about my sort of love for Egyptology, but Power Slave. Obviously Iron Maiden has a really string of really good artwork. They put a lot of artwork. They put a lot of work into their artwork. Certainly, most people are familiar with at least the Derek Riggs era of Iron Maiden. But Power Slave, to me, obviously the Egypt imagery is a draw for me. I love the detail. I mean, again, it's one of those records where you can just kind of look at, and you always finding something new, really, in the symbols, very detailed, in throughout sort of the pyramid, and really a draw for me. So, Power Slave. This is sort of the anniversary edition that just came out, which is actually gatefold and has sort of a die cut thing here.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
Wow.
Cool. Obviously I need another copy of this, like I need a hole in the head, but sucker me, here comes another anniversary edition and I buy it because this is, I can't not do it. So, but yeah, this is actually cool. They just came out recently. It has sort of a gatefold with a die cut Eddie there, which is kind of cool. Anyway, so yeah, my number one pick, Iron Maiden, Power Slave.
All right, cool. All right. Thanks, David. All right, Rand, what's your number one?
Well, that's my favorite Maiden album by far. I love that record so much. Okay, Grant, you're going to love this.
I love everything you do.
I'm just going to drop it down and you'll...
I never heard of this album either.
Yeah, right. This is great. This artwork is so good. It's got textured record cover.
Textured
I don't know how to explain it.
Who is it?
Yeah,
that's Klaatu.
Oh, it's Klaatu.
Okay.
1977. This is musically, it's a masterpiece. But this cover is just beautiful. I mean, it's like if you just look at it really close, you got to get one of these. If you can find one of these original vinyl, this one's from 1977, Capitol Records. I mean, my God, what a band! I love Klaatu. But yeah, this is Polet Zania. Their little mysterious made up planet land or whatever, and that's a sun in the back. I think it's ready to go supernova or something. They're in trouble. They got problems. But yeah, in the back, I just love it. It's like, and then inside there's a thing, with lyrics and stuff. It's just basically black and white. But yeah, I think overall, I wish this was a gatefold. I always did, but I've only got one album that has this textured feel, so I feel pretty. It's pretty special, actually.
I can't remember anything. I'm sure there are other stuff like Carpenters or something might add a textured cover. Or
George
something,
Harrison, extra texture.
Yep, there you go.
I thought about that just now.
There was texture on Master of Reality, I think.
Yeah.
It wasn't completely flat.
You're right.
Not-
the
not
original,
very
the original
not very
Master
exciting.
Reality, the original Master Reality did not have the song. I mean, the album title in purple the way the CD did. It was all black, and you could touch it with your hand. It was kind of like that.
It was raised.
That's my favorite Black Sabbath album too.
All right, cool. That's great, Rand. All right,
I see how
Matt.
to sell albums to Rand.
huh?
I see how to sell albums to Rand. You just got to
Yeah.
make a textured cover. I
He's
like it.
he's easy. All right, Matt. What's your final pick?
So my final pick is related to kind of the last category I was thinking of, is where the artwork was actually done by one of the musicians in the band, and there's a few examples of that, but kind of in increasing tightness between, the first ones, it was just artwork that happened to be used for it, and then ones where it became an integral part of the band's imagery, and for this last one where the actual band is creating the artwork. So the one that I chose was Baroness. John Baisley, who's the singer and guitarist for Baroness, does all their artwork, and I could have chose any of the albums because they're all just really amazing artwork. Here's the back. It does fold out, and you get some more kind of cool imagery for it, and it's just such a good fit. He's been recognized for his artwork. It's been nominated for Heavy Music Awards, so that this one in particular did, although it didn't win. But he's won one with their album Golden Grey. Was nominated for Metal Storm for Best Album Cover. He's had 3 of them for that. I just think it's really cool, kind of like an ink and watercolor, and it's a current band, and you get a lot of more. Maybe digital art that's going on now, and this is a real organic medium that he's using, which I think is cool, and it's reminiscent of some other ones. I think Voivod would have fit in this category well with Away, doing all their album covers and artwork and kind of the mythology of the band. D. Boon from Minutemen, or I think even Cat Stevens did artwork. So there are a few other examples where the artists have done it, but this one I like the best.
All right, cool. All right, honorable mentions. Who's got some?
I like to start off. That's
All
okay.
right, sure.
This is one that could have made my top 5, and it's another Blue Oyster Cult one, The Revolution by Night, which came out in 1983, done by Greg Scott, who did the previous 2 albums, Fire of Unknown Origin and Extraterrestrial Live. And what I love about this is just the darkness and mysteriousness of it. It kind of, to me, harkens back to the first Blue Oyster Cult album. It's just, it's probably the most simple thing that I've seen him draw, but it works for me, and it really ties in with a record, I think. It's one of those albums, when I listen to it, I think of the cover. So anyhow, Revolution by Night. This next one, I hate the album, but this album cover I think is amazing. And that's Judas Priest, Ram It Down. That gigantic fist pounding down on Earth. I said, I think it's probably one of their worst records, but that cover is just friggin' amazing.
Mhm.
So those are my 2 honorable mentions.
All right, cool.
And we thought that was going to be really heavy metal, and then it wasn't. Thank God for the next one.
Yeah, it was just kind of like, heavy metal for dummies, or they're just dumbing their lyrics down to teenagers, and I was like, I just didn't like it.
All right, cool. Jeff, did you have a couple?
Sure. I could have picked a whole bunch of other BOC, including Fire of Unknown Origin and Imaginos and On Your Feet or On Your Knees. I even like Agents of Fortune rather a lot. I'm probably even leaving something else out. Hawkwind, there's tons of them. Sonic Attack could probably be my pick, but I love a lot of the early ones too. Let's see. Oh yeah, Black Sabbath, Cross Purposes, and Tear. I actually had a poster of Tear. It's the only poster I've ever had because I just love the colors in it. And I thought cross purposes. Martin hates it, I think, but well, sometimes I disagree with Martin. He's one of my favorite guys to disagree with. And I mean, I always want to hear what he has to say, but I don't always. I'm not always on board.
Yeah.
I think cross purposes looks fantastic. Again, it's the colors; they're really pretty, and it's a nice image. And well, other than the angel being on fire, I'll leave it at that because there are just so many. Oh wait, one last. Matt mentioned the dust one is great, but I was partial to Flirting with Disaster and Beating the Odds. You know, to the point where I actually kind of feel like Molly Hatchet, if they had Vikings in the southern U.S., they would have been them. You know. Anyway, I'll leave it at that.
Anybody else, real quick?
I got them ready to go. Can I go?
Whatever. Matt, you go first. You're ready, right?
Yeah, sorry, I was just showing the ones for
okay.
for Jeff, but I can go real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Rich, you mentioned Greg Scott for the Blue Oyster Cult ones. In addition to those 3 albums that he did, he did an artwork for Imaginos that wasn't used, but I've never got shown, so I don't know what that looked like, but that would have been amazing to see. But my honorable mention would be Court of the Crimson King. You got the sort of the schizoid man on the front and the Crimson King on the inside of it. Sadly, the artist died shortly after he was age 24. It's the only thing that album cover he ever did. And the last one, I guess this ran, your Beatles one. For me, that Highway to Hell was my Beatles one, where just the band looks so cool, and it's when I'm first getting turned on to music. I was 11 years old, and seeing the painted on horns and tail for Angus, that just drew me into to this world of rock. So,
all right, cool, excellent. Brand, what were you going to say?
Yeah, okay. I got 3.
All right.
This is called Egdon Heath Nebula. Look real close.
Yeah, I don't know if we can show that on the screen.
It's Dutch. This is the second one, Ramasi's Space Hymns. This is a fantastic album. It folds up into a big church with that rocket ship being the steeple taking off. And it's also got Creme and Godly all over it too. It's a really cool album, very spacey. And then the third one is Nectar Recycled. I'm not sure how that's going to look.
Well, it doesn't matter because I'll find it.
You can put in those graphics, huh?
I'll find the graphics.
Yeah.
All right.
And I love Recycled. That's like my favorite.
Oh, I saw it live. It was phenomenal.
Yeah, and the lyrics, they're just so relevant to what's going on. They're way ahead of their time in what they're talking about on that album. So
yeah.
All right, cool. That's it, Rand?
Well, I could do Asia Alpha if you want to throw that in.
I got to go. I got a show.
No, I mean next time when you're subbed it out.
Oh, yeah, sure. No problem.
Thanks.
All right.
So love that. I love that painting. It's beautiful.
It's a good painting. All right.
3 times better than the music. Bye-bye.
No, well, hold on. I got to do the outro, for God's sakes. I want to thank the panel, David, Jeff, Rich, Matt, and of course, Rand Kelly. If you'd like to be on these panels, we'd love to have you. We have a Patreon. Please join that if you'd like to support the channel. If you don't want to support us that way, we do have a Ko-fi. Buy us a pint or a cup of coffee. We would love to have that. We also love donations, but we love talking music here in the Contrarians. So please join us. We'd like to see you. Anyway, what's next on the Contrarians? Probably this. But we will see you next time. Have a happy Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year if we don't see you. And panel, we'll see you. Have a good holiday. See you on the next one.
All right.
All right. Bye.
Bye.